Hi everyone, my name is Lily Dawson and welcome to our brand new online video series entitled HI Presents. HI Presents takes an inside look into Hollywood through the eyes of the professionals that make Hollywood work. We'll talk about business, we'll talk about success, we'll talk about failure, we'll talk about triumph, and we'll talk about how you can create possibilities for yourself. We'll also take a candid look at the inner workings of LA and see what artists are up against as they try to break through the Hollywood machine. Enjoy.
Ooh, felt so good when you looked my way. Take me down on the floor, baby, say my name. Let's get ooh. Let's get ooh. Let's get
Stephen, it's amazing to see you again. Thank you so much for coming in today.
My pleasure.
Can you tell everybody just a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, I'm a voice and performance coach, and I work with artists, both actors and singers. I'd say the bulk of the people I work with are singers these days, but I work with them to help them develop their vocal technique and to heighten their performance and really be able to get the best out of themselves that they possibly can every time consistently that they get on a stage.
Wow, that's amazing. I've seen you work absolute miracles with people. What you do is just you transform people.
Thank you.
You just do. That's what you do. Can you tell us a little bit about the sort of things that you do with an artist when you start working with them?
Well, sure. One of the first things that I start with is really just to get an assessment of where they are, because it's pretty hard to decide what to do if you just have your method and you go, here it is, bloom, this is one size fits all. So I really want to get an understanding and a feel for where they are technically, what their comfort level is, what they're able to do as far as communicating a song. Do they just sing a song, or are they telling me that story that the song contains? And just so many other elements. What's their mindset? And it's possible to see so much in just a few minutes because there are so many different things that reveal the inner workings of what's going on. So that's pretty much the place I start. And then I just start digging in on what's the most important.
Stephen, you've been working with some really big stars. Give us a rundown of who you've been working with.
I've been very fortunate in my career, and it really is good fortune. I've gotten to work with people like Adam Levine and other members of Maroon 5. I've worked with Sara Bareilles. I've worked with Jesse McCartney, Drew Barrymore, Justin Long. Recently, I got Halsey, who's really broken out very, very big right now. I got her ready for her tour with Imagine Dragons. And I'm working with a young artist who's really coming up, who's with Def Jam right now, named Jacoy.
Wonderful.
And he's terrific. So many others. And it's really a very exciting thing. And sometimes you have to pinch yourself, because I worked on all the Alvin and the Chipmunks movies, which spanned 9 years. And it's like, I'm on the Marge Simpson soundstage at Fox, working with the director and Justin, and part of my brain's going, really? So yeah, I've been blessed.
Wonderful. So Stephen, I love to sing, let's say. Actually, I don't, but we won't even say that.
You will.
Sorry.
Still going to get you out there.
I have a great voice and I love music and all of that, but my stage fright is crippling me.
Right.
What do I do? How do you help with something like that?
Well, it's very, very exciting for me. Recently, I had a woman come in who makes her living as a singer, and she over the last year, developed crippling stage fright and never had it before. I mean, truly crippling. Just some stuff happened in her life.
Okay.
And it merged, and it was connected or not connected to certain events. But what we got to find out first is, what are the ideas that she is thinking underneath what she's doing? What does she think about her performance? What does she think the obligations are? What does she think is missing in her? Because all of these things are floating around in there, wreaking havoc, basically, because there's this world, this story world that we keep rotating in our minds, and I think everybody can relate to that. We're walking around telling ourselves stories all the time. So what is that story that she's got going on in her mind that's crippling her? And you have to start pulling it apart bit by bit, because largely people don't know what it is. And they don't know that how it cripples them. And they also don't know what to do about that story, other than they should stop it, which is the last thing that they should do. Stopping it is going to create a problem. Now, that sounds like a weird thing, right? But what happens when they start trying to force themselves to stop something that is truthfully going on, they get locked in a fight against themselves, which perpetuates the whole thing. So they have to first align with what that is, really know it, really kind of get in touch with it, and then through it, they can move forward.
Stephen, is there any other advice that you can give to people that have crazy stage fright?
Yes. What happens is we put the attention on ourselves, and that's always a problem, because whether we're doing a speech in front of a large group of people and we want to give them important information or bring them to our cause, what we're doing is it's about those people and those people understanding something. Now, it seems a little odd in terms of a singer, but there's a world that is important to you, and you need to be expressing that world and in touch with that, not trying to do a good performance for the audience. That's death. I call it death by goodness. So what you need to do is, yes, I don't know how to do good. So what they need to do is really understand their story so that they can really communicate it. And I joke around a lot about the fact that I earn a lot of my living teaching singer-songwriters what they wrote about.
Yeah, right.
They don't know.
Yeah.
But when they do, it's transformative. Even one time through, deeply exploring what the reality and the world of that story is, it changes everything, not only their comfort level, because now they're focused on something that's more important than how they look, what they feel like. And the other thing is, by taking the attention off themselves, their body is more able to make use of these tiny little muscles and coordinations that have to really be alive and working for the voice to come out at its best. When we're doing it, trying to manipulate it consciously, slows it down. Mm-hmm. But when we're intuitive about it, we get the best of our voice all the time. Somebody gets into a story, really commits to it, their voice takes a step forward, big leap forward.
So obviously, regardless of what stage you are in your career, if you're starting or if you're a big star, you still need constant work.
Yeah. And sometimes it's even a trap being a big star, because since you've had a lot of success, sometimes, I'm not speaking about any of the names necessarily that I mentioned, sometimes as a success, you tend to feel one of two things. Either I got this, and there may be some things that you don't know that could totally take you to a different level. Or there's a worry about being embarrassed if other people should know that you're getting coaching. Now, the really, really successful people, I think, know that they always need a coach. Always. We're always trying to take that step forward. Even the big stars, they've got things that they want to achieve that are greater than they've achieved before. But I'll tell you where it's interesting that it comes into play is sometimes when I'm working with a newer artist and I have a lot of corrections for them in the process, because I'm very hands-on, I dig deep. I can see them feeling upset. I'm giving them, I don't upset people, but people get upset. They get frustrated with themselves. I say, no, I'm doing these corrections because you're doing well. And so we're making those little bumps. And at some point I have to say to them, look, if I've got Grammy Award winners in here and I've got things to tell them, you think I don't have things that I'm going to tell you? If I'm telling these major stars, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do, and this is what you need to do, how do you think you're going to escape having some editing or corrections?
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Stephen, what would be the one bit of advice you would give a new artist starting out in the business today?
Well, one thing that I would say is always be training. Always look for the next step, because there always is one. Always. Unless you ascend and forget it. Angels will sing. But there's always a next step, so make sure you keep training and looking for that. The other is it's about a level of commitment and dedication and relentlessness and attention to detail and being rigorous. There are people out there who are working so hard at it and in such a focused manner that you may be one of those 1 in a million who doesn't have to, but that's a big gamble. I'd rather make it more about what I can create and what I can cause to happen, or at least put myself in the best position for things to happen. So that means really focus on your craft a tremendous amount, become undeniable, whether somebody wants you or not, still be undeniable. And especially in these times where the industry is changing so dramatically, you need to know your business. You need to be
so
an entrepreneur.
Important.
Period. And even if you get a major label deal, you still need to be an entrepreneur, because you've got to make sure that what's happening there, you have a clear, good head about, because they can take you a lot of different directions and you've got to be the captain of your ship.
Yeah, totally.
Or captainess.
Yeah.
Yes.
Stephen, I am in the middle of a country where I don't have a lot of support, and I want to know what I can do. What can I do from there? What can I do to be seen?
There's so much you can do to be seen. We are in a global economy right now. We're in a world where work is done dispersed all around the globe, really. And there's this wacky new thing that they call the internet. And with the internet, you can do things like, I believe in Siberia, you could probably get a SoundCloud channel up, and SoundCloud is one of the platforms of many that you can put your music on and build an audience. YouTube, the amount of channels are really, platforms are really endless. So if you're creating good music, and that's really a prerequisite, you want to create good music,
you do.
But even if it's not the most fabulous in the world, just get it out there, get people to know who you are. You can build an audience, because
and continually work on yourself.
And continually work on yourself. You've got to develop your craft. I encourage any artist to learn basic production skills, because you don't have to have the most highly produced track in the world. Learn how to record yourself. The tools are inexpensive, and you can probably even find them for free. So make your songs, create things, record yourself. The more you have, the less precious you'll be about each and every creation having to be the one. And that's what I see a lot. They need this one song that they wrote to be the one. Do not get stuck with that. Create. Absolutely, just keep creating. You don't want to be precious about every song having to be the one. And I see that trap a great deal. And then you want to build relationships. Constantly be building relationships. You can say, well, I'm not in LA, it's not going to work. Well, you don't have to be in LA to build relationships virtually with music supervisors, with producers, with publishers. You can reach out to anybody. And if you're clever and you're politely relentless, which I've watched people be very politely,
So have I.
absolutely relentless.
And they go far.
Somebody I spoke to recently who I had to tell him after we spoke, I said, all right, you want to just watch out for one thing. I waited till the end of the conversation. You're close to the edge. You weren't on the edge, but I'm not a record executive. So for a record executive, it might have been on the edge.
Just a little bit.
But I'm talking a hair, politely relentless. Relationships are everything in every business. And we talk about social media and all this connection and engagement as if it's something new. I'm sorry. No. Stone Age needed relationships. So it's just another channel through which you can create them, but build them so that when you finally do get that opportunity to come to LA or go to New York, you have people to reach out to who feel like they already know you.
Absolutely. And it makes everything so much
It's
easier.
huge. And they're excited because they feel like, wow, I finally get to meet this person who's been sending me this new track every 6 months or 3 months. And I'm watching their growth
totally.
and the development. I mean, people really, really want to be a part of something. I'll add one more thing on. If you look at the popularity of crowdsourcing and what one of the major things of the success of platforms like Kickstarter, Indiegogo, but even a friend now has a platform where they help people find jobs. It's like a headhunter crowdsourcing platform. People want to be a part of the creation. And when you give them the opportunity to watch your growth and meet them, and they can feel like they're one of the ones who had the forethought and the vision to see the talent before it was ever exposed to the world. That's a big thing. It's a nice feather in your cap.
Yeah, totally. Stephen, tell us about some of the fails that you see people make when they come in from overseas and they land in Hollywood and they're here. And I think we've seen quite a bit of that.
Quite a few together.
Yes,
Lily.
we have.
Quite a few. I think that the biggest thing is when people come over here and they feel like they know everything and they're protective and they're defensive. If you know everything, don't come. I mean, just that. And there's a wonderful saying, I don't know if I made it up or if somebody else did, because I found it in my writings the other day, which is, I'm glad I now know what I think I knew when I thought I knew it all.
Yeah.
So come with a beginner's mind. That's what they call it in Zen Buddhism, a beginner's mind. Open. Doesn't mean throw away what you know, but it means suspend what you know for a minute to be in a really open place for a time. And I always am very clear with people that what you need to make sure to do is hear what I have to say, try it, throw it in the garbage the minute you leave here, never look at it again, but at least be open to trying it and see if there's any piece of it that fits in with what you do. So don't come over defensive, come over open, eager, and hungry to learn, whether it's from me, whether it's from somebody in the business, and you can sift through that.
Stephen, if there was one bit of advice that you would love to share with artists from around the world, what would it be?
That's very clear to me. The biggest disease that I see happening in the arts, as well as the rest of the world, but certainly it'll kill you in the arts, is that feeling of I'm not enough. And the people, to me, who are very, very successful are those who don't worry about whether they're enough or not. They just go and do it. They do it with what they have at that moment, and then they learn as they go along and it improves. But that idea of I'm not enough is just going to keep you from doing anything and taking any steps, and it's useless, wasted time. And if you are going to do that, which I think there are a lot of us who jump in there every once in a while and do a little bit of that, get out as fast as you can and get back to putting things out there and make things. Stop worrying about whether you're enough or not. It doesn't matter.
Stephen, thank you so much for coming here today and joining us and speaking your truth and with so much heart and so much wisdom and so much experience.
My
We
pleasure.
absolutely adore you.
Well, vice versa, Lily. Thank you. Really.
Thank you, Stephen.
I love what you do, and I think this is an amazing program, and I'm so honored and happy to be a part of it.
Thank you, Stephen. Beautiful.